You've told your brain to stop about 6 times tonight already. Stop replaying the email. Stop rehearsing the conversation you're not even sure will happen. Stop. And every time it listens for about 90 seconds. And then it's right back. Same thought, same loop, like a song stuck one measure from the end. You know this isn't really about the email. You've had this exact night before. Different subject, same shape. Lying still while your mind runs the same lap over and over, looking for something it never quite finds. Telling it to stop doesn't work, and it's not because you're bad at relaxing. It's because your mind treats an unfinished thing the way your phone treats a call that you never hung up. The line's still open, something's still connected, and until that connection closes on purpose, it's going to keep pulling your attention back, whether you want it to or not. So let's practice hanging up the call right now, wherever you're watching this, so it's already familiar tonight when you actually need it. Grab whatever's within reach, your phone, a notebook, the back of a receipt, it doesn't matter. And write down the one sentence your mind keeps handing you when it won't let something go. Right now, it might be something totally different than what shows up tonight, and that's fine. We're just practicing the move. One sentence, not the whole story, not the solution. Something like, follow up with the Morrison account, or call her back tomorrow. And that's the whole move. You're not solving anything. You're just handing it to something outside your own head. So your mind doesn't have to keep holding the line open just to remember it. Paper has a memory. You don't need to be the one holding it at midnight. Most people notice the loop loosens within a minute or two of doing this. Not because the problem's fixed, but because the open connection just closed. Nobody has to keep listening on the other end anymore. I'm Dr. Sean Garrity, close to 30 years now, most of it working with entrepreneurs and business owners whose minds run at a pace that's made them successful but won't let them sleep. What you're dealing with at 11 p.m. isn't a character flaw. It isn't something more willpower fixes. It's a specific pattern in how the mind handles unfinished business. And it has a name. Here's what's actually happening. Your mind treats a finished task very differently than an unfinished one. Something you've completed gets filed away. It stops asking for attention. But something unresolved, a decision you haven't made, a conversation you haven't had, or a problem without an answer yet, it gets treated as still active, like a call still connected. And an open connection, even a quiet one, still pulls a little power in the background. That's why you could be doing something completely unrelated and feel a low hum of something not done running underneath it. During the day, you don't notice it as much because there's enough happening around you to cover the hum. Meetings, calls, decisions, noise. But at night, once all that goes quiet, the open connections are the only thing left running, and they get loud. Not because more is wrong at 11 p.m. than at 11 a.m., just because there's finally nothing left to drown them out. This is why telling yourself to stop doesn't work. You can't out-argue an open line. The mind isn't going to be convinced the call is over. It needs the call to actually be over, which means something has to close it, not think about it less. Close it. That's what writing the sentence down does. It's not a memory trick. It's a closing signal. Once the thought exists somewhere outside your head, on paper, or in a notes app, your mind gets the one thing it actually has been waiting for. Confirmation that it doesn't have to keep holding the line by itself. I want to talk to you about Michael, who's a composite picture of many of the clients I've worked with. Michael runs a regional logistics company, 22 years, built from 3 trucks to a fleet that keeps a half dozen local manufacturers running on schedule. His mind never turns off during the day. Dispatch problems, driver calls, a client who wants an answer, and for years he assumed that was just the cost of running a business. The trouble showed up at night. A specific client had been slow paying on an invoice for 2 months, and Michael found himself replaying the same 3 sentences of a phone call with her over and over, at midnight, at 1, and sometimes at 3. Nothing new ever came from it. He wasn't solving anything at 3 in the morning. He was just replaying it, same as it had been played the last 4 nights. I asked him what would actually resolve it, and he said, honestly, probably nothing tonight. It's a Tuesday. She's not going to answer at 3 a.m., So we tried the handoff instead, before bed. One sentence on his phone. Call about the Hartwell invoice Thursday morning. Not a solution, just a closed line. He told me the first night felt almost too simple to work, and it mostly didn't that time. By the end of the week, he noticed the 3 a.m. version of the loop had gotten shorter. Some nights it didn't show up at all. The invoice still wasn't paid, but his mind had stopped treating it like an emergency that needed him awake to guard it. If you're recognizing your own version of this loop right now, I built something for exactly this. It's called the Common 7 Challenge. It's a simple 7-day rhythm that helps you actually close things out at the end of the day instead of carrying them into the night. It's free, and the link's in the description, and it takes about 10 minutes a day. So let's build out the full version of the handoff, because there's a little more to it than just writing something down. Grab whatever you're writing on, your phone, a notebook, whatever's nearby right now. So we'll practice it here so it's already familiar tonight. Think of the one thing that's been running quietly in the background today. Not the biggest thing necessarily, just whatever your mind keeps circling back to on its own. Write one sentence, not the backstory and not the plan, just the facts, what it is, and if there's the next step, when you'll actually deal with it. Like follow up with Sarah Thursday. Decide about the lease this weekend. And that's it. Now here's the part that makes it actually land instead of just being a to-do list. Read the sentence back to yourself and say out loud or in your head, this is handled for now. Not solved, handled. And there's a difference. And your mind knows the difference. Solved means finish, and you can't promise that about most things. Handled means it's written down. It has a time and doesn't need you standing guard over it tonight. That's the whole move. One sentence, one line closing it, and the line's been hung up. Do this every night this week, same time, right before you get into bed. Not because one night will fix a pattern that took years to build, but because your mind needs to learn that writing it down actually works, and that only happens with repetition. You're not overthinking because something's wrong with your mind. You're carrying a mind that takes unfinished things seriously, which is probably part of why you built what you've built. It just needs one honest signal that's allowed to put something down for the night. Nobody hangs up until you do. If you want the full 7-day rhythm that builds on everything we covered today, it's called the Common 7 Challenge. The link is in the description, and it's completely free. And I'll see you in the next one. This is Dr. Sean. Make it a great day.